Okay, we're gonna say the prayer on page number 10. We'll say in Tibetan 2 times and in English 1 time. In English, on page number 11, I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, anger. This ground unalterably perfumed, strewn with flower, Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon. I visualize this Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Idam urora nameda lakame yadaya me.
Demo yin la ku ka te demo.
de jamtane. Ane terang mani tambo kayin si gutri tane tes sarsunga tes nyamjong tes holo de tane ngadi das tang das on the dot tele nyamjong ne ane dot tele chita go chitsawi gomni bo de ji doma goma is jo go mek ha tari ngone ne must be to ji dot tele nyamjong ne doma gom te ji gom ja yes.
So, ni tambala ni parti tong chance ke tong da ke yo maro. Ni chance da ke ke tong me da ka da ma na de me da ke yo maro. Den lu de. Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me. This is Sunday Sabar the Dharma discussion, and I'm going to suggest you do this at the beginning of our today's conversation. First of all, I'd like to suggest to you exercise 9 times of the inhalation and exhalation breath. Instead, you inhale it 3 times and in a row, and so total 9 times. And so like the left the nostril 3 times, the right nostril 3 times, and both 3 times. The total makes 9. And then I'm going to release playing music, which is a meditative music, healing music. And while you listen to this healing meditative music, and you again, like we did before, silently reciting the heart mantra of Aryatara, and silently recite it. And meanwhile, while it's reciting mentally or silently, and focus on or meditate on the vivid image of or vivid appearance of Aryatara, and then place your full heart and your faith and in
Chitang gatsik tamuji dego. Dasa kitongri nare chikum da chabamde. Gatsik tamuji ane chapani dene azbo holo jides. Holo nyamde de tang ugi tangado nyamde imchi sente uti nyamde tangsi. Ya tende sazo ji yene ya tende su sherebji cha tamji ya su li tamji la chapsong ma yone ti tangyo so ti dokso kom maripa tamji ma losong sam tamasam je ne. ane yoni ya tende so ji nyang shamtang nyang ji la so ba ne shang sam la so ba ya su su ji la ki so ta kang de jen jiwen de lo su su ji la ki so sam ma yini dang su rang jin zhen ji ne ji ta me xio tam ji ma dang song de sam ane da hang ni ga ni pa dang so lo ji da me ji lo ji ya da ni pa de ga ni de wa ba de ga ni ta so su sim ji 로스는 탐지를 먼저 소주선수 라버드 진짜 로마라서 베니 티지신이라 베니 니와 탐지 소수gel라 통송 저지 탑동 시럽라서 베 연대 탐지 소gel라 조송 선지 마 당서 뜻 소소랑 니기gel라 연대 로아 심지 탐지라 파 판도지 송선 때리 삼로 정네 가 곰치네 아니 그 차정로 소나 네더니 홀로 지데 지가들 냥치네 카르와 다리서 베인지
Okay. Yes. So I don't know where's your present situation conditions are, or the places where conditions of your place and where you are, and regardless how, and make sure and you sit straight. Okay, sit straight, meaning that your backbone and must be keep it as straight as like an arrow, and then you have two shoulders, and just and try to really let it be in its a very natural place, meaning in very loosely and relaxedly let it be in fell in its own natural position. And then next you focus on breath. While you're focused on your breath, so from when you take it, it's 9 round off or 9 times off the breath, and as we said earlier, that we're going to divide into 3 sort of different units, or 3 different sort of focused and different aspects. And first, when you breathe and exercise your first the 3 times of inhalation, exhalation, and so this means that you take your breath in and from your right nostril. When you take it in, and so gently, very calmly and gently, naturally, when you breathe in, and I imagine that you through this through the breathing, and you be able to extract or taking in the wisdom of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, right? And then you relieve it from the you relieve it, and then that way. And then when you begin, you do this a total 3 times, and then you move to the left nostril, and then again when you take it in, and you imagine or thinking that you are extracting and taking in all the compassion, the loving kindness of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then 3 times. Then when you take the exercise the third, the after that you practice the 3 times, and then in and out and breathe. And this time you focus on both nostrils, and so when you take in, breathe in, imagine that yes, the thing is here. So you take it sort of very gently and naturally, and breathe from both with your both nostrils, and then all the way reach the abdomen or the navel, where the place where your navel are, and reach there. And then while you are taking in, imagine that you take the wisdoms, the compassions, and the deeds, and the powers of all the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. In other words, the Buddhas of 3 times and 10 directions. So you reach or you achieve this the power of the Buddha and the Bodhisattva, which is the unification of both method and wisdom. So when you take it in and breathe in, and take it, you receive them, you take it in, you get into and yourself. And then when you release or breathe out, exhalation, and to the exhalation, and so you imagine that you all the Buddha's power and compassion, or unification or union of this method and compassion that you receive from the Buddhas of 3 times 10 direction, now in giving and freely to all sentient beings. So and Yes, so this is the exercise you need to do, and the total you do 9 times. So the point is, again, when you do either start from a right nostril or left nostril, so taking in the Buddha's as unique qualities, attributes of Buddha Bodhisattva, and then give back to the sentient being, give it and them to offer them to all sentient beings, and then do the 3 times. So again, you do need to do this very relaxed and very in a very natural way, and very genuinely.
마땅서도 마시바다네 랑진증 그 선도 당서도 송마통도 야당 셰르프 찾는 야당로라데 꼬라잡니 마땅어서 셰르프 도서도 말이 봐라 시와도 마 노송선데 손 담아서 송점데 아니 요마 야당서도 전지원도 심령질로 소바 소소 jel로 지원서 뒤 도서고 권이 간다로 문튼쇼고 내랑 지원도 비신질로 소병 no do tong la so ba tong ma to song sam je ni ti tsama cha song san de ni ti gila ta ni ga ni
oh ya ore te tong bu tan ni wa ka ra mo re ti so do so de ma de re la yeah I beg your pardon, and I missed the Geshe-la's comments. So here's the thing. First of all, when you take exercise the inhalation with your right nostril, and as I said, when you breathe in, think that you extract or take in all the Bodhisattva's wisdom into yourself, or uploaded to your unconsciousness, and when you breathe out, and think that all your ignorance and the confusions, all those the dark aspect of your mental qualities, properties have been cleared out and have been clearly wiped out. And then similarly, when you take the exercise the 3 inhalations with your left nostril, and while you are breathing in, think of or imagine that all the Buddha's compassion, Bodhisattva's compassion, loving kindness being taken in, extracted into you, and or uploaded up onto your unconsciousness. And then when you breathe out or exhalated, and imagine that all your the misperception of self, or the self-centeredness, or self-attitude, self-cherishment, the attitude of self-cherishment, all of them being cleared out or wiped out. Okay, let's start it now. So we do the today. Okay. So now here's the thing, and thank you, yeah. If you can see me on screen, and please just follow me or imitate me. And while doing the first round of exercise, and make sure you close your left nostril by press it with your finger gently, and then you do the you start your exercise. Similarly, and when you do the left exercise and this with your next left as nostril, and make sure you close the right, gently press down and close your right nostril. Yeah, just watch me on the screen and follow or imitating me.
또 이거 많이 해야 돼.
Now switch to the left.
나 보니까 니 야당. 홀로 같이 막 가네. 막 홀로 막 당치라.
Now let's do exercise with your both nostrils. The point here is try to do it naturally and slowly and very try to take a full breath and try to reach down all the way to your abdomen. Remember, this is not just a mere physical exercise, but we have to focus on the spirits of the essence of the spirits of this exercise. That is, so while you are breathing in with your both nostril, imagine keep the focus on you are taking in or extracting all the Bodhisattvas, the power of compassion and loving kindness, wisdom. In other words, the union of all Buddhas, the extraordinary attributes represented by the skillful means, which is loving kindness, and then wisdom that understand the ultimate nature of reality. And they are in union, and so unification is the actual attribute. And then take it, and then when you exhalating, remember that all the because of by the power of such a remarkable, extraordinary, and Buddha's quality, the union or the unification of compassion, loving kindness, and wisdom, and all the sufferings of all sentient beings, such as illness, fear of death, and any other problems, and from individual level to all the throughout the community and the whole nation and the entire universe is being removed, as being purified, and then stay in that state of purification as much as you can or as long as you can. Now, So imagine you achieve the state through this exercise. That state is your mind and you yourself being fully blessed, and you've been transformed into the state of the union of loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom. And so at the same time, and all sentient beings, and also being blessed, and then there are all the sufferings and being removed, as well as the causes of suffering being eliminated. And so now, and so you are arrived the state, and then that is free of affliction and the suffering. But you are in the experiencing a great state of bliss with all sentient beings throughout the universe. So in that abiding in these states, and then recite in the Aryatara's mantra silently. Just don't get maralo.
不要打了。 that's just some low young.
I hope this exercise makes you be able to experience some kind of relaxation and make you feel peaceful.
That's rong jinzhen jini dati mga shik dere dar rong jinzhen gi nyemu gzini jan xior zimbi payun da jini yong yor da rong jinzhen zi dangbo ni rong jinzhen sa de jitang na ngarong zu sebi nang la jitang nga sa ji tak be thosam yo de de ina yo de te ngarong te li tsali gani be de nga sa tembu shu ji be si ji la ka me wa de ko rong jin ji de ba ro ji sem na zim do sa de la te ni ene te telate de son culture da katsang son culture de chi de do chi tong da ta do tong da she dang la so ba sem chong ma teli chong yong go da ni su ko jong ji ro de rang xin zi de jong rang xin zi sa de chi tong rang de ber zi be zen zi mari pa re do mari pa ti rang go ni te chi kang an mong bu chong do re yi na rang nga se de ngone chen cha ni song na ling yi sem na pa ri sat cha song chi am ni ba 다 잔이 메르즈는 요어 참 쇼츠도 봐 동용수 될때 ngaset 다 좀 주용 거 배나 그런 거 아니 중고라니 모다테 직동 지나가 중에 모다지수 나도 좀 모다테 아니 지 로아요레 텔 모다시 마운트 토고요레 때 차실이니 잔이 송 소스 차르리 떨어졌나 니 모다데세 요마르티 캄바치키노나티 잘로 차성 요나라 띵 모더셋 디오 마트 정말 쇼츠도 드긴디 그런 거 설득당 사성 드긴디 지금도 될 남다 사성도 코데 모더셋 요데오르 될 샤와시 특별 얘나 동부 종팅 그 사원도 아주 중국에서 콘도 동부 미치 삼로로 되는 정화로 삼로로 되는 디디지는 디디 종국들 파도 신이 뜻 쇼츠다 조르지니 근데 다 샤와도 시험을 됐잖아 오 칸탄 샤시 칸탄 칸나 삼마데 samluchila teni yungo gor tenzata ani chroba jiting kunchukol thai sem yola teni segur sem yola teni kadar tangone sem ko shelichila teni sem go dangchi pha sharang gor ngoni china ti tani sona dang sharsa ge sem te pa tani sona te rangjing ge tongbi yang nang pa to la pa yen ro teni chi chako tenzata te samluchit tane ni nga se te kadar chindu teni susu ta samlu tang ni te
So, generally speaking, we have been discussed one important concept that is misperception of self or selfish and attitude of selfishness. Or self-centeredness, and so along the course of this discussion, and we have been focused on this very attitude or this misperception regarding the identification of self or the individuality. So we look at this very attitude or examined this attitude through various the angle and perspective. We sort of critically they investigated all the defects or the downside or negativities of this very attitude. Okay, and again, it's a misperception of self or the self-judgment and the attitude of the selfishness. So by now, and we know that how harmful this attitude are, and although we haven't examine it and talk about it, but we're going to move on to look in something that's completely opposite from this selfish cherishment or the attitude of selfishness. That is the others' cherishment or cherish others, and the attitude of cherishing other. And the remarkable qualities and the wonderful qualities, or unimaginable powers of this attitude. So we're going to discuss this later. But anyway, self-judgment, selfishness, essentially is aimed of derived from the sense of or the idea of concepts of I or me or person, self. Even though this I, which claimed or conceded, believed by ordinary people or enlightened individuals, is according to how it appeared to their mind. Okay, if it is or not there at all, and so this I, and ultimately speaking, this is the nominal. It is something that's nominal or mere, the production of mere labeling, and is our in a sense is like a mere term or mere name. It is not as solid, conquered, as unchangeable, prominent, independent as how we generally experiencing and how it appears in our mind. It's not there, because when you examine your general sense of me or I or person, self, you will see that so your I, your me, the person that appears, the way it appears in your mind is something as if it is inherently existed. It is established, self-establishing or self-existing, and it is something that without depend upon anything else, but sort of solely and existing and or operating under its own power. That's how our basic or general sense of I or me is, which of course is absolutely wrong. It's not true at all. Nevertheless, because we have failed to understand this, and so therefore we tend to protect this misperception of self, this wrong I, which again essentially is not existed as it how appear in our mind at all, right? But we protect it because we believe it is us or ourself, and we as a person, right? And so therefore we protect it. In order to protect it, and of course we do all kinds of things, right? So this self-cherishment is naturally derived or developed, occurred, and emerged from there. This misperception. When you look at the sources of this misperception, its originality, its origin, and you will see that it's false. It's baseless. It's not anything, and there's no any evidence, or it is not an evidence based entity or stuff at all. So self-cherishment is essentially ignorance. It's mistaking, and it's wrong view. Because again, so if it is there, if it's true, if it is something that like the way it appears, right? Appear in our mind, when you're looking for, when you're seeking, right? When you try to sort of track it down and try to locate it, you should be able to find it. But the thing is, in reality, and when you try to reach out or try to find out, right, and get that very I, and the way how it appears in your mind, you cannot find such a thing. That's a very sort of a thing we call the I, or the appearance and of ourself and in our mind. It's just unfoundable. Okay, unfoundable. It's on nature. For example, like a car. So we all are driving car, and we have a car. And what is a car, right? Here you take the car as yourself, a person. So when you turn the car as that units, right? The assembly into many pieces as the way how it has been compiled, right? How been assembled or formed and put up. So if you take every part of the car, like wheels, right, and the chairs, and the up and the bottom and left, right, and doors and everything, and as the it originally was, right? Then you cannot get the car, right? There's no car at all. But when they put everything back, right, been carefully and assembled and been carefully sort of reorganized, right, and compiled again, then you will get the sense of, oh, that's the car, and it began to functioning, you can drive around. So what is the lesson we can learn from this, right? What do this teaches us? Even though, prior to our exam, right, a critical examination, the car seems by itself. It doesn't depend on anything. It's just the way it is, right? It looks like by itself. However, when you, as soon as you start to examine what is a car, in that very thing you point out as car, it began to fall apart. But it doesn't suggest that from a functional point of view, it doesn't exist at all. It is exist because by the depend upon, because of by the nature of dependent origination, right? Because of this interconnectedness, by nature of interconnectedness or dependent origination, and it began to functioning. It works very well. However, by no means you cannot find any particular part is there which is a car, and so therefore it makes working. In fact, the car as car is useful, can be driving and take you around, is because it's a dependent origination. It's because of the nature and of depend upon something else or anything else, and so every part sort of depend upon and other something else other than itself. So therefore, together, then they began to work as a car. So this is how the dependent origination is working, and why dependent, even though it's not substantially or inherently existed, right? But it's dependent origination or dependent arising. So similarly here, the self. So self is the car, and they are there's a great in the same being sort of existed the same way, and then they shared a similar functionality, and essential nature is the same. So this very subtlety, a profundity of dependent arising, and has been and here in Buddhism, we emphasize the great importance of dependent understanding of dependent origination or dependent arising, because Buddhism believes that this is a way you can understand the ultimate reality. At the same time, you also can find the purpose and the meaning and then of everything, and then you can utilize them or apply, and it's apply it into a daily and practice to benefit others. However, some other religions, other system, according to other system, and they do not teach this unique idea of dependent arising, but they believe the universe is here and we are here, and all things are around us, is originated or because by the power of a supernatural being's willpower. In other words, and a being and who is supernatural and who has endured with the supernatural power, and he had a thought, or he had this moment of sort of a wave of a thought and a will, the wave or the move of that supernatural being's mind sort of created some kind of wave, not a wave, but wave, and or the vibrating, and something's vibration, and then vibrate out, and then created everything. Which of course, from a Buddhist point of view, it's God's will or supernatural beings created the will or not. It's questionable, but the nature of each individual's being, or the what you call it, the radiance, okay? The radiance of the nature, the radiant of the nature of all the sentient being, and that's what kind of make a sense about this idea of the divine intention, or the wave of the divine's mind, which because of that the universe being created.
자신답이 강바대 당부 이합당 가도접다 최종 간다서 작은 상마 전원 당부 미치삼라샤고 샘달라 샤르규때 아니 나가된 바 돈진이 때 리모고 규때 아니 고입때 아니 파쇼라 텐데 파쇼때게 더팅기 차망 보지 사사 저도 망버 좀 아니 강바대 좀 거 강바대 당부 들발라 당부 지그 샘라 때니 정도요 때자다 때라 삼동하나 알아서 내들이 망보지 샘리 정도요 왔다 뒤촌도 걸 때비나 대사당 알아 샘나 삼방 안 받지 공tro지 차도지 됐지나 때라때니 세나지 됐지나 때라때니 디 셰발라때니 파쇼고 일라 링이 있으면 조라스템 조라리치상 리텔라때니 아니 등을 좀 나랑도 제도 도주 참아 대화를 때 용조 참아 지조 참아 되게 기지도 걸 또마이 샴당냥지 상주 샘 잼핑 샘들이 침부요나 tellateni ti lingri isum shaw kan tang shaw de jumping sam ta de ke longji yo ta ti lingri isum shaw te telan do ta tellateni rangji ge de chit ge ngor o te sem gu tang ne jongdong te de te ja ta sem gu tang ne jongwa re ta ena sem te kan da ji de ta ne sona sem te yang ko le lo ji nie te wa ji ma ji
Well, okay, yeah. So yes, so I said that the radiance, the radiance of the mind, that's what something that you can consider. Or ultimate subtlety, the subtle clarity, in other words. So anyway, here let's shift to the other aspect of the Buddhist understanding of the importance of the mind. And so in Buddhism, the mind is the primary cause of everything, and it is the kind of key source of the individual's empirical knowledge. For example, why the mind is in Buddhism considered is the primary. That is, or the primary factor. That is because, for example, when you want to build up a house. So first of all, before the house is built up, you have to have an idea or thoughts, intention, right? And then have the plan of the house, right? Once that image or idea and or intention, a desire of the house has been emerged or derived in your mind, then you began to make a plan, and then you begin to start your project of building the house, right? And then eventually, and the house will be built up. And so just from this very simple example, when you take it into the context of in our desired happiness, our unwanted suffering, it is clear. You can see that how the happiness and the sufferings are related to the mind. In other words, how the mind play its primary rule or the key rule, decisive rule in this particular context, meaning that your mind, because of your mind, and then you can experience the happiness and well-being, right? And similarly, because of your mind, and you may experience suffering and pain. This is because the mind is has this function power for the functioning, and so the power function is can acting upon, reacting to, respond to, right? And it's activity, right? This activity and it's a movement. By its functionality, it's very function of the activities, moves, and yes, the creativity, and then you can experience various forms of experiences. And similarly, that very activity or the nature of the activity would determine whether you will get your desired happiness and well-being or not. And similarly, that very nature and characters of that activity, mental activity, mind, mentality, also what determining whether you will we have to experience unwanted sufferings and the pain. And so therefore, if you have the attitude that let your mind, right, and play or doing the things, and shift your mind into the activity, focus on the activity, increasing the activity that is merely focus on the benefits of others, okay, and the happiness and well-being of others, but not for the selfishness or the self-judgment. And then, because of the nature of that mental activity and mental deeds, and you will naturally lead to the point where you experience the great happiness and the well-being. Why? Because again, by the very nature of that others' cherishment, and so you will be a natural lead to, guide to the happy side of the existence or reality, or the well-being and aspect of the reality.
deki yoyu par nga deki do ko deki do sa deki kang de yong jen yong gur pena nga zo ma chang ji la pe ja na ma chang ti nang la da nang mi ta za chang se da ma che ji nyam de cho go zo nyam de ni yo na kora ni ni chi chi la pe je wa chin de chi chi la chi ti chi la pe ki ship tang ani ngoni tang de 참보요나 지금 그 내외랑 데라 폰이라베 아주는 장모 성함에 봐 시선낭스 아니 강당 강나 내기당담에 찍찍라 판도세가 삼로 찍찍라 기습당담에 찍찍라 그나 나면 되기래 다 뛰는 거 맞으면 요 찍찍 nga 뭐 찍찍 코치고 보죠 찍에서나 다 그런 일이랑 지금 줘봐래 다 같이나 찍찍 코원도 되게 찍찍 코원도 되게 또도 뭐마다 nga 뭐 찍에서 들어 다 nga 뭐 찍에서 말 파속대 nga 뭐 찍에서나 코로나가 맞는 이유로 당 근데 다 차도 쉐어당 같이나 등을 지내 아니 뒤쪽 여러분이 듣고 말다 내외랑 되는 대기산이 요마 다도 통치래 대만에서나 젠치워즈 바 파솔라 점 아주 로아 미다 인데 파치워즈나 스디치타 인데 로아 드로이나 파솔라 참보통 세워지나 런징 스라 코르치니 그런 거지 가 용도와 대인차 내가로 소수 셈 같은 젠치워즈 비 진정때 지당안에 르무치는 거지 르무치 런진도 지점 그 소소라 요바 뛰는 거는 당때라 때니 소소 니와트 배조는 동아이와 나전의 상치지 냠 상지 젠치오르즈베 셈트 지점 요나 대점 때니 젠라 파쇼라 판토치오르 젠니 소소랑이라티 캐빈 종용 된차 아니 어때 소소 셈 나와 젠치오르즈나 아이 같은 경우라고 되는데 삼통 좀 말 젠치오르즈베 로테 랑라 캐빈 용하고 세델라 인 데키 용아인데 이마다 탈등 원버 좀 상 요르셰 발라 젠치오르즈베 로티 소소 상지지 고고도 담지 잡고 뭐저런데 젠치오르즈베 로리 중얼라 되게다 남아 쳐봤는다 아니 랑치오르즈 바탕 젠치오르즈베 카퍼칸데 요레 지용나 때 결혼다고 말 좋았던 거 있다나 젠치오르즈베 로지라키나 상지 좀 든데 잘해 근데 당분간 아주 거래 랑치오르즈베 로 담버 좀마나 단다 말고 코라 토만 번 거다나 거다 오래 어떤 얘기 잡으랬나 하고 그래 근데 서울랜드 얘기했어.
뭔가 저것이 그것도 좋아 되게지나 근데 좋아지 살로지로 뭐 라고저다 봐. 좋아지 살로로 와.
다 잡았어.
말에 이제 땅세 거래. 좋아지 살로로 와. 저되게 해도라 그것도 좋아지 살로는 있나? and 살 정말 좋아지 살로는 누구 말해?
저와트나
지단 좋아 누구래 말하고 레니는 아
저를 좋은 거
마음 받았어 마음 받았는데 그거를 더 말해
the facebook나 the comment 지난번에 당선면도
근데 그것도 뒤투고 요하래요 말해
그것도 뒤두고요
It's 11
oh yeah that's all 되는 게 그치도 못했으면 뭐고
다다 아주 내가 좋아트를 제가 꼭 이렇게 요 말로 왔다 그러면은 미통치 동동고 말 다지 근데 길때 영 오는 제거 때 꼭부터 매사다 같이 생각나 때 좋아요나 땡이 렌트 야고였다
원래 되게 좋아 지마도 그것은 거기서 사면은 것도 뒤투고 쓰게 yes so since because this physical limitation and distance, we are handling this discussion online, and may it not be convenient for you to ask me a question like you can come in and meet me in person. So and therefore just in case that you have upon here what I talked about the importance of cut off or eliminate self-cherishment and then focus on or shift your attitude towards from the self-cherishment to others' cherishment, you may want to ask a question. So if I do apply or integrate this wonderful teaching about abandoning the self-cherishment but adopting the other's cherishment, would that let me experience a great deal of self-sacrifice or self-loss? Will I experience lots of bring or invite call upon and call a lot of the troubles upon to myself and make myself as difficult? If you have this question in your mind, right, then my answer is this is hypothetically, just in case you have this question in your mind. The answer is not. The answer is not because through a lot of other experiences, you would see, and it is clear, and if you genuinely, fully dedicate this shifting attitude of from self-cherishment to others' cherishment, you would fully be benefited. You will not lose anything, but gain a great deal of whatever and the qualities of life you wanted to achieve. For instance, like in a family, so you are a family person in your family, right? If you shift this attitude of self-centeredness, you look at the things and start doing anything and not based upon or start with what you want, what concerns you the most, what you really want to be do something for yourself, but rather you will start looking at and doing the things how others are doing, what they need, how can I do anything for their well-being. If you start this at the family level, and you will naturally, and generate the most important family manner or the practice that is respect. You will genuinely show respect to that person, and you will care, and you will be sort of very mindful about their well-being, and consequently, and others would notice that you are genuine and you're really there for them, and you really doing this merely purely for the benefits of them. So then, in return, and then they will also exercise the same, or your practice will influence or affect their attitude towards you. So see, then and then you would just by this shifting in self cherishment to others in your family level, and you will get such a immediate benefit. Well, if that's not strong enough, then let's do the opposite way, right? Examine this situation from opposite point of view. And suppose in the family, if you truly believe self-cherishment, self-centeredness, and the attitude of selfishness, you as the center, you are the most important. Everything has to start with from you, or according to your desire and your happiness, and everything has to be evolve around your own benefits. Then again, we go back to the family level. So in your family, if you're married, or you live with someone that's the most significant with you, so you probably will, and the way you present yourself, communicate with that person, and so you behave yourself is like a more or less what is suggested, and is domination. So you want to be the controller. You want to dominate everything at the house. You will disregard the others, right? And you will try to do whatever you can to put the other person in the subordinate position. So other person, of course, as a human being, naturally would not willing or happily to let you abuse and exercise that the egocentric and domination, the attitude, and you over control him or her, and with this desire of domination or controlling. So, and the other side would began to jealous about it, or scared about it, and or feel unsafe about it. So, and what are you doing? And will not be happy that your self-cherishment and your attitude. So then, and within the married couple and or the close relationship, there will be power struggle, right? And you will fight over who control the house, who control the family, the business of family in the family level. So all these are quite obvious, right? And it's we experience this every day. So this is not only sort of true in our human community, but when you go to the take the same thing into the animals world, you would see that even an animal they themselves also kind of in many ways they exercise that to be able to survive or stay together, and as a community they also apply some kind of other cherishment, because you see they're taking care of others, and so get together, so sort of living together, and so there are some kind of a basic fundamental others cherishment is being applied. And so anyway, and the essential point here is about the cherishment, and well, clearly speaking, the others cherishment. Others cherishment is like a rinpoche in Tibetan or jewel in English. Something is precious, something that's priceless. So how much you have, and it's just like in general, how much jewels you have in general, that much you right make yourself easier and free and happy. And similarly, if you adopted, right, and have this jewel of others' cherishment, and so your well-being and your happiness of the life will be matched up to the level and how high or how strong your practice of others' cherishment is. So anyway, that's the others' cherishment quality and is been can be tested, can be examined, and through various ways, and so even so we can do this from scriptural point of view, or and sort of intellectually, but we also can see this the truth of the others' cherishment from in our everyday life. For example, if you refer to the one of the great ritualistic practice or sadhana, and they call the great prayers or and offerings to the eminent guru or the lama. In this sadhana, it clearly said that the benefits of others is that which it will lead you to from ordinary being and become omniscient one, or the Tathagata, the Buddha, the Buddhahood. And if you want to see the defects or the downside and the negativities of the self-cherishment, and so your samsaric experience and this entire samsara is the result of, is the manifestation of the self-cherishment. So yes, so from both the scripture and our real everyday life experience, we can see that how bad or how harmful the self-cherishment is, and how beneficial and wonderful the others' cherishment is.
Oh yeah, that long shago there that ko jan long to ngi mu shi che so da to jene ane cheptang jina ta ngarang ge moyi ni su thong da no dong shen na nga pe na da go mang ge shi tang sa ne yima la do yima ne cho de be ka de la yima da chung de la nga do ge the de la chi yo chi karbo de chi na bo chi karbo de na bo de ni chi karbo de pe rang dun cho nga wo de be ka de na halate katina korom tangbu sa so ni korom ro kunjana ma to nagode shira rakam to nagode te jamgu chora me kinda korom da ji shu ngam to men tin ji kaw de pe ngam to so de korom pe mi ta chi jambal tha do 때때 그런 한 번도 들지. 뜻 내가 때나 갈라때 망한테 콜라라고 그래. 내가 계속 콜라라고 그래. 얘는 니마지한테 곧 치팅이가 된다 야갈 고마도라 벌치고 살아 공다 기점이. 네 야갈 그때 갈라나가 뜻되니 치팅이라. 뜻되니 다 치팅매어서 셔시당네 공다 째지 공다 뜻되지. 뜻되 잡아다. 그 전에 저도 때 치가 어때 백남도진이 이는 손 그런 참아사도. 산에 니마키 가오도 시시. 당에지나 당오늘 정진진진하던 내용은 정때 양간도 와서 직당되나 그 전부다 지금 그런 따다 요르다 있다 담아대 용로도 코너로 나고때 대전 소라면 그 홀로로 그런 데 가사라면 잘 쉬어 어때 때때 배춤즈 들어이나 그 배춤즈랑 진진진나 언니 뛰나 셈나오 언니 전에랑 진진진하다 된도가 생각도 소라진 레소나 뜻하는 거 냠용고 소라왔던
We don't have time to read the textbook or continue our readings on the readings of the book and the training of the mind. But instead, let me use the rest of the time we left, to let me share a story, a real life story, and then through which to make us kind of try to make a sense of what we have discussed, how it's related to our today's discussion. My story is like this. After I received my Geshe degree in the Sutrayanic tradition and or the monastic and the monastic academic study in Goman Monastic College, then I was assigned or enrolled to the Tantric College and of the Tantric College in South India in Mysore and area in South India. So while I was in the Tantric College and to study the Tantra, and one of the experience and which I never forgotten, and also placed a huge impact, left a huge impact on me, is that when at one point and the Chidi Sigrid is going to get me. Oh yeah. So the senior monk, which I share a room with, who and taking care of two, I suppose the street dog, and he began to feed them. And then eventually, and that two dogs become what you call the domestic the pets. So the senior monk who had two dogs, and one is a white in color, one is a black, and so over the time, I noticed that the attitude or the personality of these two dogs kind of hugely different. And it's because whenever the senior monk gave them food, and they equally, and to give them food in one container, and it is very clear the white dog is very aggressive, and very much selfish, because he would push the black ones away, or kind of threaten him, and he quickly eat up the food. And meanwhile, the black one is sort of take an okay position and go with the flow and sort of take it easy, and not that fighting back or being aggressive at all, but it sort of take it easy, and then you can tell he's not that much wanted to do something for himself. And then over the time, and what I noticed is one day, and the dog, the white one, is dead. And then when I asked what is the cause of the white dog, it was shocking because the white dog has been aggressive, very much selfish, right? And he's has this strong personality, want to have everything for himself. So he been that way, and one day the local the Indian and villagers and nearby, I heard that they sometimes come into the monastery, they're stealing things. But the dogs is they protected the monastic assets and also amongst the thing. So and the local Indians and a thief basically. The thief, in order to steal the thing, they would poison the dog and then get the food. So what happened is, and obviously the one evening, and somebody lost the stuff, and then we find out the white dog was killed or dead, and then we realized that the white dog was poisoned. So that was quite a shocking experience for me because you see this white dog who was very jealous state, right, and of the food and when they eat, and he applied the same, and also very aggressive and very much strong and attached self-centered, and his same attitude and the self-cherishment, it seems was the main cause of his own death. Because when you can imagine that when the thief coming into the monastery campus and the dog began bite, right, barking, and so the thief was through the food and which mixed with the poison. Then the most who get the poison, the food first, obviously the most aggressive one. In this case, unfortunately, is the white dog. So who jumped into the food and ate it, then he dead. So I learned this, and it was quite shocking for me. Then I realized, wow, even just in the animal world, from these two dogs, seems very clear. If you are self-centered and always want to do everything for yourself, and you can be fooled and influenced by this very negative attitude and apply that or being that way in all the situations, then of course you will be the one who suffer the most. So I find this is very interesting, and this is my personal life experience, and that's affected me very deeply.
다 되네 양 좋아지 뭐래 너 되네 전 지어즘데 정말라니 이런 거다 하버지 돈린도지 선생님이 얌는지다 전 야가 참아잘라트 뭔가던 그런 거 용서고 됐잖아 연기 정도 됐제데 그다음에 잘라 한숨 끝내는 셔당다 차도 끝내메 이니고니 근데 연기 소소라 마롱와 지구나 때 선바 동용 고니 셔베주 당네 띠 람데 가트와 그때 탑름도 가르치지 가고 소소 바주지고 요래 타치데 오페닝 것도 그나 때문에 좀 소전데 때 기와 때문에 때 좋고 말이지.
Having said that about the wonderful qualities and the importance of the other cherishment, but one thing we maybe also have a question about it. So, what is the proper way to practice this other cherishment? For example, we have a practice of giving and taking, or Donglan, the Donglan practice. In the Donglan practice, and generally it suggests that you give or offer all the victory, all the benefits to others, and you taking, asking for all the losses, right? Or all the the loss or the negativities and sort of upon to you. That's generally suggests that that's the practice that way. But it doesn't mean and you not apply the wisdom and you're not thinking and you not sort of assess the situation just randomly, blindly, and do this. In fact, you have to carefully assess the situation and in the case of like giving others right what they want or they try to do something that benefits others. You must look in and examine the situation and and then you responded accordingly. As especially when somebody who is very mean and who approached you with the ill intention, right? And whose intention is very ill, and who wants to do something and like plays tricks on you or try to take advantage of you. You have to see how beneficial it is, right? He or she asking something and whether there's any virtues involved. Is there any merit in there, right? So your action and such as like shift the self-cherishment to others, right? And whether it's the virtues or not. If it is not a virtues, right? If he or she or they're asking something that's a non-virtue, which is not appropriate, right? And then you must neutralize your self, meaning that show no attachment to yourself, also show no aversion to them, but just in the equalizing and the situation and the state and the state of abide in state of equanimity, and then the apply the wisdoms you have, right, and then the response to and the person and the situation and accordingly.
Chitang marang meet leads a million and the lead the Latin Benamshi the Betongo that Karashawa on the love symbol to Tobiorina. To Pasho de la Giva Jimson, Chimbo Tana, Tang Chosna, Lid Tangana, Lid Jatan, Tana Matana, Yamacha Matapar, Jim Dodge Rina. The Jimson Mewachi, Pasho de la Pem to Rangla, Nobagina, Songo, so the Shanks simple half shadows.
Yeah, in Buddhism, and again, we talk about, despite the fact we talk about others' cherishment, and shift or eliminating the self-cherishment a lot. But again, in general, we have to always assess and the situation and carefully examine the conditions and the causes and other factors, involved with a particular situation, and you have to carefully examine and how the way you responded and whether it's virtues are meaningful and worth or not. So Buddhism believes that the precious, the form of body we received in this lifetime is a human body, which is precious, which is a jewel and priceless. And but at the same time, Buddhism do encourage and teaches that this body is impermanent, right, and is fade away, or is going to pretty soon, will be vanished anyway eventually, and so therefore should have no attachment to it, but to do something and for the benefits of others. However, again, so when you use this, when you consider to how to benefit others, right? And if there's no really absolute meaning or qualities and or something that's absolute worth and to sacrifice your body and like sacrifice your body and yourself, and you cannot randomly and damage your body and that's a very negative horrible things happen upon to your body. But you are obligated to protect your precious body. Okay? The reason is because what others asking for, and for the sacrifice of your life, if that's non-virtuous, right? Instead of listen to that person and give your body, your life, and to fulfill what others desire, and you are actually have to carefully and assess the situation and then protect your precious body.
야, 난 그래. 야, 너 소클 같은데. 아니 람르만 너 내대 맞지.
Yeah, that's all. So now that's all for today. Thank you. And then now we're going to recite in the prayers of Lamrim.
대보 조노 주주 조신저라 조마디 더대난지 도도조지 조시양종 조근 참주르지 바든자웨 나마르고지 당디니가 바미네주 거대 제보고대 주송대 고송 특징이더 장도 소장주 zen조른고시 마제 바난지여 지제와냥바메버용 고네 공도 배월쇼 강례라웨 홀웨신강대 반당대와 마된 종위니 제르세와 대제자소예 자베젠대와도 덴저지 잠바바오 제드라 잠바당 군도 성고 대양 대신대대다 군제제소 개원대다 남제랑도 모두도 샤베 야와 남제장 오와 강만 초도 모바데 당시기회 자와 대모야 성고 주시라도 모월지 편대 중에 대바다 신제 던전제고 당시 외제군나 대제종의 상제 담바다드 제주지 제르군도 자와 성과의 대조신의 호조자들 대자외 앞에 남동대년리 같이 자영도 벌마지를 주신제 나빠지니 바니도 내래 달조신도에 나는 말리와 다도 중화 매버쇼 모델의 선대로 예매 고향 인제 다들 대나베 군조 선제 다시 소 모노모베 야외 대바라 그외 나조 수제스메 산주르네 주바 말레와 초선데베 자레 제르지 약간 작을 거다. Yeah.